Welcome back to another episode of Married Now Widowed. We're your hosts. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nadine, and this podcast is about navigating life after loss through unfiltered conversations.
Yes. So, what is this episode about? It is going to be about where we are at currently with our grief, right?
Yes, with our grief journeys.
So, just to give like a bit of background in case you're new, how long has it been since Mick passed away?
It's coming up to 3.5 years.
Okay, coming up to 3.5 years, and it'll be 2 years for Mohammed very soon.
Yeah,
okay?
November, right?
Yeah. So you're always like a year and a bit ahead. That's how I remember how long it's been for you. Okay, so let's talk about where we're at now, because we do a lot of episodes about how things have been, what we've experienced, a lot of past tense stuff. So let's talk about now where we're at. So are you still going to the cemetery? What's your feelings around that?
Yeah.
What do you?
So when he passed away, I was going to the cemetery quite regularly, and, you know, straight after he passed, it was every couple of days.
Yeah.
But Sundays I would make it like me and the kids. It would be our, you know, our family thing that we would do on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So whatever we were doing, if we were going out, having lunch, whatever, it would always involve going to the cemetery.
A visit to the cemetery, yeah.
We probably did that for the first year, even longer, to be honest. You know, I was going throughout the week.
Yeah.
On my way to work.
Yeah.
On my way back from work.
Yeah.
Like I was going there a lot.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to say it fizzled out. That's the wrong word to use, but I feel like at the beginning I found so much comfort going to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And not that I don't feel that now. I still find comfort going there. I still find it to be so peaceful. And I really enjoy going there. I love going there. I love sitting, you know, at his grave and just having a moment to, you know, whether it's to reflect or to remember or whatever it is. But I'm not going as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I still go like on, you know, we'll go on Sundays. It might not be every Sunday, but we'll still go on a Sunday.
With the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the kids.
Yeah.
I'll go on my own sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not like before.
Yeah,
like every
but I
couple
think
of
your
days
kids are at a good age too, where you don't need to. You can still go with them and have your quiet time.
Yeah,
or your,
definitely.
You know, they're not gonna. You know, they're
definitely.
older.
The only times I'm really going on my own is if like I'm driving past and I'm
if you're
going
not
to work.
with them. Yeah.
Then I'll stop in for a little bit. But yeah, Sundays we still do. It might not be every Sunday, but we still go on Sundays. But really as well, like on occasions, special occasions, whether it's my birthday, the kids' birthday, we always go to the cemetery, you know, Eid, Ramadan, like, you know, all of those, his birthday, New Year's Eve, like all of those days, we're always at the cemetery. Yeah. That's like a...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Father's Day. Yeah. So I think we spoke about this on another podcast maybe, or maybe we just spoke between each other. I don't know. But I think I shared on a podcast me going to the cemetery daily and like what it meant to me.
First year.
For the first year. Yeah. But I would say I'm probably quite similar to you. Definitely special occasions. Like that's like just...
It's a given, right?
Like it's no-brainer. It's pretty much like if it was New Year's Day and you're obviously going to spend it with them.
That's
so
right.
no different really. But I try and go, I do take Hader a lot still, just because he's still too young. Sorry, my son. He's still too young to really understand. So I try and keep it alive in his mind. Like, we're going to visit your dad, and make it like a thing so he knows where his dad is and can make the connection.
That you're
doing
for
sure.
That.
Yeah. So yeah, I try and go with him a lot, but it's hard for me too, because he's at that age where he's running around. And again, because he doesn't understand where he is, you know, I'm trying to keep him off people's graves and not touching other people's flowers. And, you know, so it's like one of those things. I do honestly prefer to go without him. So I do make that time whenever I can, whenever I get time when I'm not with him, I'll pop in. But I do also go with him a lot, just to show him and remind him of his dad, and, you know, try and get that concept happening.
And I love that you do that, because I'll give you an example. So my uncle passed away, and he also passed away. He had cancer. But my eldest daughter was very young when he passed, and there was one thing that he would always do with her, and he would walk into the room when she would be sitting down, and he would say, "Where's Liana?" And he'd like look around, and she'd be sitting right there, and she'd jump up and she'd be like, "I'm here. And he's like, "I can't see her. Where's Liana?" Now she was young, right? So when he passed, I was always telling her, like, what would my uncle say to you? And she'd say, he'd walk into the room and he'd say, "Where's Liana? Where's Liana?" And I'd be sitting right there. Now, till this day, I will tell her, "What would my uncle say to you?" And she would remember that story. So I think what you're doing is a great thing, because I think once you completely like remove that and you don't bring it up anymore, you don't take him there, they'll forget about it, because
especially at that age. That's the thing. Like obviously if my son was older, it would be different. I wouldn't have to keep the reminder alive. But when they're young, I think it's your responsibility to make sure that, and, you know, to start to understand the concept too of death, you know, obviously maybe in other cases you probably wouldn't introduce the idea of death to like a kid that is that young, but when it's so close to home and it's his dad, you have to, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we do, a lot of songs that we sing that have mum and dad in them. You know, dad does that, and you know, cartoons that we watch, etc. So it's really important for him to start to understand the idea of, you have a dad too, he's just in a different place. And obviously, you know, Hader's 2.5, so it's very much like dad's with the birdies in the sky, you know, that's how death is sort of spoken about. But so my visits are definitely different to the first 12 months basically. And I also feel differently about the cemetery anyway, like regardless of what I sort of said to him about visiting every single day for that year, which I did, I feel a little bit different about it anyway.
How do you feel about it now?
I don't know, like it's definitely a peaceful place for sure, but I think because...
Do you not find it comforting anymore?
I don't necessarily think that you have to be at someone's grave to feel that way. You know, I often think about people that have lost loved ones and maybe they've chosen to be buried overseas, or, you know, they're just they live in different countries and stuff. And I think about that a lot, and how, you know, it doesn't mean just because I go every day and they might go once every 10 years that it's any different, like the feeling. So I think that plays a bit of a role as well. I feel not so, I don't know if guilt is the right word, but maybe in the beginning I used to feel like, no, you have to go all the time. Like, how can you not? But I think it's important.
That way too.
And I think it's, again, outside pressure, right? That comes from that too.
Did you get, like, early on, were you getting people ask you like, "Oh, Have you been to the cemetery?
Of course.
Yeah,
I
got that
hints
a lot as well.
all the time. Like people think I'm stupid. Like they'll ask me something about like something recent that has been done there to see if like I've been that recently and like I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I get oh, the flowers were dead.
You don't.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because then that shows that I haven't been in a while.
Who the fuck says that, babe?
So like you, at the beginning I felt that it was extremely important for me to be there. Not just because of, like you said, outside pressure.
Yeah.
But I felt like I genuinely wanted to be
course,
there. And like you genuinely wanted to be there and you find it comforting.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, you also have like a busy schedule.
Of course.
You've got work, you've got school,
life,
you've got kids, you've got
Yeah.
And so life does
start to pick up again. Yeah.
And I think that's when you realize, going back to what you're saying, that you don't need to be there every day.
Yeah. You're 100% spot on. I think in the beginning,
prior to that, you feel like you have to be there every day.
And
but then once your life resumes and you went back to work after how long was it?
Thing. It was very different. 2 years. Yeah.
So you went back to work after 2 years. So naturally, you really have no time to go to. I remember once it was Valentine's Day, okay? Now, Valentine's Day might just mean nothing to some people. It's just another day, money-making day, where whatever, right?
Yeah.
But Valentine's Day for me, it's more than that. It's the day we got engaged.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I remember I was at work that day and I closed I think it was a Tuesday, and we closed at 7:00.
Yeah.
And I left work at like 5:30. I was stuck in peak hour. By the time I got to the cemetery, it was getting dark. I sat there for 10 minutes, but I made it a priority. Like I had to be there.
Even if it was for 10 minutes.
Even if it was for 10 minutes, I just had to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, I want to be there on these special days.
Relax a little bit.
I'm not going to put pressure on myself.
And that's what I felt like in the first year. I mean, I've done some ridiculous things to make it to that cemetery every single day. Like I'm talking.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, like insane. One time I was so sick, fever, like dying. Drove myself there like dying, went there for literally 10 seconds, walked up, read the Fatiha and then walked back. Like what was the point in that? It was just in my head like, I have to, I can't miss a day. Yeah. I've gone there. I didn't realize how dark Rookwood was at night. Have you been?
I have been at night. Of course I've been at night because like you, there were times where I'm like racing to get there because I had to be there.
Yeah.
But you know what? I actually like it late in the Arvo evening. I love it.
What, night?
Yeah.
Dark?
Look, no, not.
No, that's what I mean.
It did get dark that day, I'm not going to lie.
Pitch black.
No, so the sun was starting to set. I got there.
I don't mind that.
No, I got there and then like 5 minutes later it was pitch dark.
You know, that's happened to me before. I hate it.
Oh yeah, I just jumped in the car.
Shit out of me.
I wasn't there for. I'm telling you, I was there for 10 minutes.
Especially when there's no one around.
The second it started to get dark, I was like, nah, I'm out.
When there's no one around, like it's
scary.
I don't. No. Some people aren't though. Some people are like it's a beautiful place.
No,
you know, whatever.
When it's like evening, late afternoon, evening, like getting to the evening, it's beautiful.
I agree.
It's so nice there. It's so peaceful. It's not busy.
Agree.
But the evening.
Yeah. So I just feel
I think I sent my location once to somebody and was like,
the cemetery.
Just an FYI.
Just in case
here I am.
Steals me. You know what? Like again, like, but you know, like when I was doing that, right, for that first year, Hader Muhammad passed away when Hader was 7 months old. Yeah. So he's a baby, right? So I'm like throwing him into the car after bath and dinner time, running down to the cemetery. It's pitch black. I can't even see where I'm going. Like, chill. You do not need to do that. Like, that's too much, you know? And anyway, after I completed that first year in my head and I was like, okay, I saw you every single day for the first year. That's when I sort of realized, like, you can't kill yourself to get there, right? And I'm going to have to go back to work eventually. And again, it was like I was doing the most to get there. You know, I'd start work at, say, 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I'd be there at 6 a.m. You know, that was one of the times I ran into my grandmother and she was like, because my grandmother, you know, they're early birds. My grandmother's up at 4. And that was, she was like, what are you doing? Like, you need to stop, you know? So it's definitely my feelings towards it that have changed. And I think a lot of people's do, but it's funny, some people can't admit it. Like, I feel like we can admit that, like the feelings in our perspective towards visiting has changed. And there's a lot of people that I personally know their perspective has changed, but they just can't admit it because they've gone so hard with pressuring everyone else to be there every single day that now that they don't even feel like they need to be there every single day, how do they back out? Because they've spoken too much now. Do you know what I mean?
So how do they back out? If they're not going every single day.
They'll just lie. And they'll just pretend that they go or make up an excuse like, oh, you know, I didn't go that day because I had it's okay. You can just say, like, it's nobody thinks you don't love the person just because you don't visit them all the time. That's right. That's insane to think that, you know. So anyway,
I was going to say like whenever I'm down, I go to the cemetery.
Yeah.
I did that more at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now maybe not so much, but there have been times where like I've been, you know, down or depressed or upset or whatever, and I'll go to the cemetery and I'll feel fine.
Yeah. It brings you like peace. Yeah, and comfort. Yeah. I think it does something different for everybody. Yeah. You know, there are
some people that can't go.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. There are people that can't even bear
and that's understandable.
And that's okay too, you know. What about like emotions wise, but like not like how you feel, like actions? Like, do you cry every day? Do you where are you at with that?
I definitely feel like you cry less, you know, like for sure. As time goes on, you cry less. And I think I said this in a previous episode, the pain will forever be there. It's never going to go away. But you know, life
of course
gets in the way, and you know you have to move forward with your life.
Of course,
and you know we have children as well, so I feel like you definitely cry less. I think I cry around like we spoke about this.
Oh no,
no, we spoke about this in one of our other episodes.
Which one?
New Year's Eve.
I thought you were going to start crying about the judgment stuff.
No. No. I mean about them.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
And I think more so when my children hit like certain milestones in their life.
Yeah.
I'll always cry about that.
Yeah, because it brings up stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Like even this morning, my daughter was in the car and I don't know what she said. We're having a conversation. And I'm like, you're so cute, Celine. And she's like, I know, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought about like her personality.
Yeah. If he was to see.
Her personality has changed and she's just this like, you know, she's just so cheeky. And I just thought, like, how would he have handled that personality?
I think about that all the time.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not gonna lie and say it didn't bring a tear to my eye because it did. I thought thought about like him and, you know.
I think that's the difference. The crying before it was just different. You know, now it's kind of more like controlled, if you can call it that, you know, and it's more sort of like those little moments that come up, whereas before it was different. It was like so fresh, so, you know, I think about that stuff with Hater all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, if you're, especially the character that Hater has, like so cheeky, so naughty, hyperactive, like Mohammed would just be in awe of his personality. Yeah. Even when I'm at the cemetery with Hader, I'm like, look at this kid. You know, like the other day when we were there, he's like, hi, Dad, how are you? And just like wanders off. And I'm like, Mohammed would just freak over the type of kid that, like, this is exactly what he would want in his little boy. He's got his exact character. He's got all his mannerisms. Like, he would just be thrilled with the type of kid that Hader is.
Yeah, like when you see your children grow, and like especially your son, he's still young. Yeah, there are so many milestones.
He's just forming his personality.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I think when you look at like our kids, that I think stings.
Yeah, for sure.
Bad.
For sure.
It really does.
You know, like another time I remember being really upset. So, you know me, I'm not like, I don't cry often.
Yeah.
And really I don't. Like, I'll have like a tear here and there if I'm thinking about something, but I don't get into it. I just quickly, you know,
skim over
it and move on. This is really weird actually. But I remember it used to hurt me so much. So my backyard, obviously my fence backs onto my neighbour's fence, and sometimes I would hear them outside, not like I couldn't really hear their conversation, but just murmurs between the two of them. And, you know, nothing like, I don't know what they would have been talking about. I can't actually hear them, but just murmurs that they'd be chatting, and just the sound of them two chatting in the backyard. And I just used to sit in my backyard because it would be like evening, night. Hader would be asleep. He used to go to bed a lot earlier back then. I would just cry just over that. Just like, wow, how nice that. Like, it's just so nice to hear you guys just like chatting, and just, you know, like, and my house I felt like was so quiet, you know. Muhammad was like, especially Muhammad, and his personality is very loud, really the life of the house. Yeah. Like, he's, you know, very loud, very out there, always having a laugh. So to get that taken away, the house became so quiet. Especially, you know, my character. I'm so just, what do you call what I am? Monotone.
Yeah, you're just so chilled, so like
so flat, really. So then when I used to put my son to bed and I used to sit in the backyard and I just used to hear my neighbours talk amongst each other, I just used to be like, oh, I miss that. Like, that's so nice.
So that brings us into triggers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
There's
like
a lot.
That would be a trigger for you.
Oh, yeah.
You're forever going to be
Couples
triggered.
are a trigger for me, to be honest with you. Like, love, so happy that you guys are all happy. But that's a trigger for me. Yeah. Anytime, like, I see, like, really happy couples, or, like, you know,
what
my
about
clients,
when you see, like, TikTok like videos?
Scroll on. I don't want to see it. My clients, like, when I ask
Should we talk
them,
about the trigger that you had the other day?
What did I have? Oh. What did I text you?
Yeah. So randomly, Kayla and I text a lot throughout the day, whether it's, you know, podcast related or just random shit, really. Like, and we were texting, I don't know, we were going back and forth the other day, and then I just got a random message, and she was like, my client is making me sick. Oh, God. Now, I knew that her client wasn't physically making her sick. I was like, okay, I wonder what they're talking about. And so I replied, and I said to you, what's happened? And you said, yep, talk to you later. I can't talk now. was like,
my client's going to see this and I love you and it's okay, but I was sick in the moment. So what happened was.
But it was a trigger.
Massive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to eat clean. She's been eating clean, my client. So we're talking about foods and diets. Then we got on to the foods we love, burgers, chips. Then me and my client both love to visit Dubai. And we were talking about our favorite places to eat in Dubai. And then I remembered 2 restaurants. This burger restaurant. No, this like meat restaurant that had a
But can I just add, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
2 weeks before Muhammad passed away, you guys were in Dubai.
Yeah, sorry, background. Yeah, a few weeks before Muhammad passed away, we were in Dubai. That was like our last trip. So yeah, I remembered this Greek restaurant that me and Muhammad loved that we'd like go to like every second night.
Yeah.
And then this other meat place that had this amazing burger that me and Muhammad loved going to as well. And then it just sent me. I was like trying to hold the conversation and I was like, yeah, you know, like I was into it. I'm a foodie, love talking about food. But then I was starting to get sick because then I was like really thinking about the restaurant and how we were and who we were with and how much fun we were and then I was just like, no, please no, like not now, you know, I'm halfway through a set, I need to keep going. I was like, no. So and I don't let myself get that deep and that crept up on me because you know me, I stop things in their tracks. That threw me.
So Kayla was telling me like, you know, we were talking about food and then all of a sudden we were speaking about the food in Dubai.
And then I was like,
I remembered all the places we went to. And then it wasn't just the places we ate at in Dubai.
No.
It then progressed to and all the fun places we've gone to and all the fun things we've done together. And I let her speak, obviously. And then, you know, she went quiet and then I said, well, you've been triggered. Like that's a trigger.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course. Because then I started thinking about our lifestyle.
That's right.
You know, and I don't usually
and then it wasn't all about Dubai.
Yeah.
It was brought back home and, you know, the things you used to do, you know, here at home. And so I think you're forever going to be triggered by certain things. Like I'll give you an example. Rain for me was just rain. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
First lockdown, Mick wasn't sick.
Yeah.
So we would get a coffee. He would make me a coffee every morning. We probably did this twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. Have a morning coffee, afternoon coffee. And him and I would sit on our veranda.
Yeah.
We would drink coffee and it would be raining and it would be the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And whether we'd have a chat or sometimes we'd both be on our phones. He'd be on TikTok. I'd be. That was when I created a TikTok account.
Yeah.
And he'd be on TikTok. I'd be on TikTok. And we'd be like, oh my God, look at this video. Look at this video. Look at this video. You know,
just couple stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now when it rains, what do you think it takes me back to? Takes me back to sitting on my veranda having a coffee with me. Yeah. So it's little things like that, and you might not cry when you get triggered.
No, not all the time. Of course. You might but it's just when you like get triggered. It takes you back, you know, and then you start like feeling a certain way. And I feel like for me, my clients are huge triggers for me. Not because they ask me about Muhammad or talk to me about that, not so much that. More like, for example, my client the other week, and some clients must think I'm just a lunatic, right? My client the other week, she was like to me, I was like, oh, what are you doing after this? Normal question. Oh, I'm going, my boyfriend's organised like a picnic for me and we're going fishing. I was like, must be so nice. Yeah. I was like, and the thing is that I'm like so happy for them because they're so happy and I like love even more now. But that's why they must think I'm so random because I'm like, oh my God, what a beautiful afternoon. And it's so genuine because I'm like, fuck, that is so nice.
What a beautiful afternoon.
Yeah, because I'm so like, fuck, I miss that. Like, oh my gosh, like that is so fun.
I know.
That's so cool.
Going fishing is so fun.
I know, and your partner's like planned a picnic.
Yeah, I know.
It's deep for
I
me.
know. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I get
so
it.
stuff like that. Like I love to hear about it, of course.
Like the last time I cried, you'd be able to tell me.
Oh, the last time you cried. Well, I don't know. Maybe you cry every podcast. Almost every podcast. You cry.
Like just like between you and I.
No, the last time was that day at work, wasn't it?
Yeah, my anniversary.
Yeah. That was funny. Not funny, but funny because it was just out of the blue.
Yeah.
I wish I had the recording of what it sounded like because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
I thought
"What's
you
wrong?"
were hysterically laughing and I'm like, what's wrong? And then I realized, oh no, she's crying. And then I'm like, better jump into support mode, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the last time that, so it's like random.
It is.
So random.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's random.
It is random.
Before I
'Cause
feel
there
like
will
I
be
used to cry all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
to
But
myself.
there might be moments where people might think that I'm going to get triggered.
Yeah, or that would, yeah.
And I'm totally
you're
okay,
fine. Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then there are other times where
It's not expected, right? I remember in the beginning, early on, I used to get really, this is so weird. You know, in the first maybe 2 months, 3 months, if someone was like, oh, how are you? Oh,
that question.
tears, immediate.
Oh, I
Can't.
can't tell you what that question.
Why is that?
So I'll tell you why. Or this is what I put it down to for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know like Mick passed away in lockdown, or for those that are joining us that haven't listened to our previous episodes.
Yeah.
My husband passed away in lockdown. And so I was at home for 4 months grieving with my children. And then when we came out of lockdown, I went straight back to work. And so there were a lot of people that I didn't see during that time because we were all in lockdown. And so for me, when I saw somebody new that I hadn't seen in a while, I felt like it was taking me back to that first day when he passed. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like it was like my grieving had gone back, was like you press the rewind button and it had taken me back to the first day, like the day he died.
Yeah.
And so that's what I put it down to. I just put it down to I hadn't seen, you know, some people
it's
in a
lot
long time.
to bring up and get out to someone
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
You know?
But then, I don't know, there were times where, so one day I was at work.
Yeah.
And I walked outside because I was just so depressed. I don't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah. Well, your husband died.
No, but this was not long ago.
Oh.
Like I want
But
to
still.
I feel like it was maybe towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year.
Okay.
So I just needed a minute. So I walked outside and I was sitting down on a chair and I was just sitting there and I was looking at the floor. And then one of my girlfriends, I think I was on the phone with someone, and then one of my girlfriends walked past, and because she lives in the Junction, like in Bondi, and she looked at me and she was like, "Are you okay?"
Oh, wrong question.
And then I was like, "I'll call you back," and I didn't even think I was crying at that point. I was just like, "I'll call," but because she asked me, "Are you okay?"
Then it was all, it just
and that's
comes
like a good friend of mine. You know what I mean? I was like, "I'll call you back."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Nadine, like, what's wrong?" And then she sat down next to me and I was like, "I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know."
Yeah. Sometimes,
genuinely, I did not know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
I understand that for sure.
And anyway, she sat with me and then,
and then you feel better.
And then I felt better.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes it's just, I remember.
And shout out to Maria. I love you because, you were there in that moment when I needed someone.
Good timing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when Mohammed had first passed away, we had a neighbour across from us a little bit further up. Now, you know me, I don't talk to anyone. I wouldn't know who my neighbours are, but my husband, He knows the whole street.
Yep.
Okay. So me and Hader and I, my son and I, were standing out the front of my house. I don't know what we were. I think we were just looking at birds. And this random neighbor that I've never seen in my life comes across. He's like, hey guys, how are you?
Is this after Muhammad passed away?
Yeah. And I'm like, good. And he's like, what are you guys doing? Waiting for dad to come home?
Oh, deceased. Bury me. What did you do?
I didn't even know he knew who dad was. I'm like, no, just looking at birds. And then he goes, oh, I haven't seen Muhammad in a while. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you knew Muhammad. And he's like, yeah, we were having a chat about the pool. Of course you were. Muhammad's always nosing in the neighbours. What are you building? What's happening? Yeah. And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, you're about to feel really awkward, my friend. And I was like, oh, no, he passed away. Awkward.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel more sorry for them.
Did you find that difficult to tell people?
Yeah, of course.
No, not difficult. Obviously, you're going to find it difficult to tell people that he passed away. I meant like random people or random
awkward.
People who, would ask you questions or say, are you married? I found it so awkward to say, oh yeah, I was married or I am. I don't even, like at that time I didn't even know what the hell to say.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was like, but my husband passed away.
Yeah.
And I also didn't want to put people in a position where they felt guilty for asking that question, because that did happen to me.
Which it is.
Yeah, that did happen to me once when this lady at work, I think I spoke about it.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
And then I felt guilty for making her feel guilty.
Yes.
And that wasn't my intention. So right at the beginning, like I just found it really difficult. Even sometimes till now I find it awkward.
And you know what I hate about it, because this is my character, I hate the sympathy that comes after, because you know I get funny. I can't handle the feeling sorry, and it's so awkward. And I get it all the time. Even like, you know where I get it a lot? Because I'm always at the hair salon. So I get
because Kayla, anyway, that's another story.
Story for another day. But every time I'm with a hairdresser and we're just chatting about life, and you're married, and for me, it's I've had to be some sort of relationship because I have a kid. So where did he come from? So it's obvious. And then when I say no, then
that's the thing.
They're like,
you don't want to say no. You're not married.
Yeah.
Because you don't want, and not that there's anything wrong with people getting divorced, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what to say.
Yeah, because it's not a divorce.
Yeah, that's right. It's not a divorce.
I feel like they always, because we have so many problems with men these days, women are always like, yeah, me too. Can't stand them, right? And I'm like,
And then I used to say things randomly that would just pop out of my mouth. Someone would be like, oh, are you married? And then I'd be like, I was. But what a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, you were married?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, like we didn't get divorced.
And it's just where
he passed away.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you say?
What do you say?
Like, what do you say?
I know, it's really hard.
Now I say, oh, my late husband.
Yeah, now it's different. You have more of
like
a control over your
but
thing.
Prior,
back then
like,
it was hard. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, how long has it been? Are you divorced? I'm like, no, I'm not divorced.
Yeah.
My husband passed away.
Yeah.
And then just saying those words to people, it's like,
oh, yeah, don't want to
open that.
Awkward.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And remember when we spoke about this as well, when I asked you about the forms.
Yeah. So this one I tell people a lot about this because I feel like, I don't know, it proves what you go through when you're at that early stage of grief and losing your husband.
Yeah.
It just, you don't know like
much.
You don't know much,
Yeah.
you know, and so I'll let you guys know. So there was one day where Kayla and I had already formed a friendship, and you know we had seen each other a couple of times.
Yeah.
And one day she rang me and she said, "Hey, I'm filling out a legal document, and I just like, am I still a Mrs.?" And I was like, "You identify whatever the hell it is that you want to identify.
Yeah.
I still identify as a Mrs. So you want to people identify as cats and dogs."
Yeah, true. You want to open that up on TikTok, really?
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
But people do. I'm not saying anything wrong. No. But what I'm saying is if But do you remember I said that to you?
Yeah, if you can identify as a cat,
identify as a plant, then you can identify as a Mrs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that.
But like,
no, she's right,
I'm
guys.
serious. If people out there can identify as a cat or a dog or a clown or a plant or a car, you can identify as a Mrs.
Yeah, no,
and that's what I said to her. I said there are people out there who identify whatever it is they want to identify as.
Yeah.
So who are you not to identify as? You're a Mrs.
Absolutely.
That's what you want to stick with. You're a Mrs.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but like that was a conversation that you and I had, and there are so many things that you don't know early on, you know?
And things that people don't think about either that'll be hard. It's the little things.
Like you probably didn't think about that until you were filling out that document.
No, that's not.
And then that's when you were like,
if you became a widow one day, what do you think you'd be thinking about, or what little challenges do you think that you would like encounter?
Yeah.
These would never be any of the things that I would ever think about.
Do you still put Mrs. or what do you put now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, when it's like Miss MRS or what's the other one? Yeah, single,
Miss,
whatever.
MS,
yeah, I always put, I tick MRS. But I mean, I don't know what's legally right. What are you? I don't know. Sometimes they have a box for widows depending on the form that you're filling in.
They do.
Yeah.
It's marital status and then it's married, single, de facto,
that's right.
widowed.
Yeah. So
but I put Mrs. on everything.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so do I. So what about like, you know, obviously we're talking about where we're at now. So belongings, his belongings.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
a good
like,
one.
what have you done? What, you know, because I know you moved.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So I moved out of our marital home. I moved out of our home because, again, I spoke about this on our previous episode where I said like any decision I make, I always think about what he would want me to do or things we've discussed.
Yeah.
And he wanted to move out of the house that we were in. Right, so we had future plans. We were
so
going to
he
build.
wanted to move out already.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
already wanted to move out.
Okay.
Like I said, we had future plans. We were going to build. It was so. My mother-in-law had sold her house and bought a new house, and so she said, you know, why don't you just move in with me for a little bit until you kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So I packed everything, and I think I packed maybe like 10 suitcases.
Okay.
Of his clothes, shoes, everything.
Right.
Everything just went in a suitcase.
Right.
Nothing got thrown away.
Okay.
All of his, you know, all his personal belongings, like other than clothes, like, you know, electronics and PlayStations. There were 3 PlayStations when I was packing the house.
Right.
I packed them all up. I did not get rid of anything.
Okay.
Right. I moved everything. I put it in storage, and then I stayed at my mother-in-law's for a little bit, and then I moved out.
Yeah.
Right? I took all of that with me.
Right.
And it stayed all in the luggages.
Right.
I then moved out of that house.
Okay.
And I thought, how am I going to lug 10 luggages?
3 PlayStations and the rest of it.
What am I going to do with all this stuff?
Yeah.
So I sat down one day and I opened every single bag. Now, there were people early on within maybe the first 40, maybe after the 40 days, they were saying things to me like, you need to get rid of you need to get rid of his stuff. It's not good for you to keep it. Now, I just want to say something. His hospital bag that had his robe and his wallet and whatever he had at the hospital with him, when I packed that bag up, I took that bag with me. Till this day, it sits in my closet and I have not opened it. So I was getting told, you need to get rid of his things. And by get rid of, I don't mean throw away. I mean like donate it to charity. I just couldn't do that. And I know that it's the right thing to do.
I need to butt in because not everyone's going to understand. So this is like Islamically.
Yes.
It's supposedly not good for their soul to hold on to belongings that you're not going to be using, right?
Is that what it is?
Is it not? It's the same if they're alive. Like if you're not, sorry, actually it doesn't matter if they're alive or not alive, even with us. If we have, I don't know, if I buy a watch that I don't ever wear, I should be paying charity on that.
Oh, yes.
Right?
So, yes.
So the concept is the same, is it not?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. I assume it is the same thing.
I wouldn't know exactly what the reason is. However, I just know that.
But just if people are confused about like, why are you being told you have to get rid of his stuff? Because there's a lot of other religions and cultures that don't do that.
That's right. So yes, that's correct. We get told that we need to, or we should donate their belongings to charity. I'm all for that. But at that time in my life,
it was too soon.
I was not ready to do that. And they say you do it straight away. Yeah. Like I remember my mum and my aunties, when my grandmother passed away, when my grandfather passed away.
Straight away.
It was like, I think they waited the 40 days and they were like, donating all their stuff to chat. Whatever you wanted to hang on to, you were allowed to. Yeah. But then most of their stuff was donated to charity.
Yeah.
And so I was getting told to do the same thing and I just couldn't do it at that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fast forward, I'm now moving again. I'm like, I can't lug 10 luggage bags with me. Like I'm telling you, 10 suitcases.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I can't lug that with me.
No, of course not.
I think I need to go through them.
Yeah.
And anything sentimental I'll keep.
Yeah.
Anything that means anything, I'll keep that. And anything that doesn't really mean anything to me, I'll get rid of.
Yeah.
By get rid of, I mean donate it.
Yeah.
So I did. I went through bag.
Okay, so
every
you did
single
all of
bag.
that. Yeah.
And there were a lot of things that, just didn't really hold a sentimental
not everything
value
is
to
going
me.
to
But there were a lot of things that did, like his wedding suit, his wedding shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
When we were in Europe on our honeymoon, he wore this G-Star vest. I kept that, certain things.
Yeah.
But then his socks, my daughter wears them.
Yeah.
I took his pajamas.
Yeah.
We wear his jumpers,
Yeah.
his T-shirts.
You're always in his jumpers. Every time you're washing the dishes, you're in his jumpers. Yeah.
But there are things that
that you can use.
we keep,
that's
right.
Yeah,
and my kids, my girls,
Yeah.
Celine, she's 10 years old. She's tiny.
Yeah.
She goes to sleep in one of his
Of
T-shirts
course,
and it's like an oversized dress for her,
100%.
So, and then obviously their jewelry and all of that we kept, his watches, his rings.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff I want to say I did donate.
Yeah.
I do have a bag that's sitting there for his nephews and his brothers that I've kept aside. We just haven't had a chance to sit down and go through them.
Yeah.
But I did keep some stuff for them because I thought they would want something from him, even if they don't wear them or, you know, they would want one of his nephews actually has a pair of his shoes.
Yeah.
They were brand new. I think he wore them once.
Yeah.
And when I was moving, I gave him the shoes and I said, you can have them.
Yeah.
And so he keeps them, and that's a bit of, you know,
that's
something
right. Absolutely.
from, you know, for him,
for sure,
you know,
for sure.
But yeah, I still have something, all the gadgets like the PlayStations and stuff I've kept.
Yeah.
All his paperwork.
Yeah.
All his, I don't know, a lot of that stuff I've kept. His motorbike helmets. I don't know. There were a lot of things I did keep.
Yeah.
He had like these Las Vegas playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
They looked battered, so I'm assuming he used to play with you. He used to play with them a lot. Yeah. I've kept them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot I've kept.
Yeah.
My cousin and I, we lived together.
Yeah.
Her father passed away, so my uncle. And so she has a lot of my uncle's stuff as well.
Yeah.
And when we moved into this new house, we were going through everything and there were boxes piled up, Kayla. Like, I mean, we're in the garage and we had boxes everywhere. We're just trying to organize everything.
Yeah.
And then all I see is she pops her head out and she's like, but why do we have to hoard? Like, why do we have to hoard all this stuff for our loved ones? Why do we have to hoard it? And I'm like, I don't know. We just do. Like, it's just things that, you know, you can't get rid of. I don't know.
Of course.
But what about you? I don't think you would have thrown anything.
You know, me.
Yeah.
Bit of a, I don't know.
Yeah.
So no one's ever directly said to me that I need to get rid of his stuff. Sorry, not get rid of, donate it.
Donate it, yeah.
But it has been said just behind my back. So I wasn't ever
people
pressured.
Are good at doing that, aren't they?
Well, I'm actually
our
glad, right? Because I didn't ever feel direct pressure to answer to it. And because at the end of the day, like, you want to do religiously what's right.
Definitely.
But then it's not easy to just let go of stuff and just get rid of stuff,
like
right?
I said to you, I still have that bag in my closet.
Exactly.
Like, there are certain things you just can't throw away.
Absolutely.
That's probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, definitely. So the difference between me and you is that I still live in the same house.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
If I had moved, I don't know what things would be like, but because I live in the same house,
it's just
business as usual. Everything's the same still until now. You know, I have his Powerades in the fridge still. I have his empty shampoo bottle in the cupboard. I haven't touched anything. Mm-hmm. Nothing has moved at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like it that way.
Yeah.
And recently I've started to make use of his stuff just because I don't want anything bad for him in his grave because of me. So I wear his socks now all the time because, you know, socks, like whatever. Yeah. T-shirts I wear to bed, you know, stuff like that I try and make use of as much as I can. Yeah. But I really haven't changed anything. I haven't moved anything, and it's just how I feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I just feel comfortable with everything in its place. And the thing is, because I never moved, everything has a place. It's not like I'm, you know, my wardrobe, for example, if I got rid of his stuff, I would have half side of an empty wardrobe. I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to see his wardrobe there empty. I like to see his stuff like that, you know. And one thing about clothing and his wardrobe, I'm always, well, it's so nice, firstly, to, even without that, I'd be reminded of him every single day, you know, all the time. But I always think a thought I have every single day, right, is, so when Muhammad was alive, he's a typical male, right? I fold everything, color coordinate everything, and 20 minutes into his morning. We've got shirts on the floor. We've got blue like it's just a mess, right? I used to go up there after he, you know, whatever, and just used to huff and puff and used to be like, you know, you have to put it back. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to, you know, whatever. Now everything's perfect, and it's been perfect since he passed away. And every day, without a doubt, I think, gosh, what I would do for you just to ruin, for something to move, for anything to change. Everything's just
you
perfect,
would give anything for that
color
moment.
coordinated, just the way I used to want things to be all the time, you know. And now they're like that all the time. His undies are rolled perfectly, and I'm like, gosh, what I would do to just have you make a mess of it again, you know.
Of course.
So yeah, with belongings, I haven't done anything
drastic.
don't think I've done anything at all. Cars, which we mentioned in the other video, but aside from that, medicine still in the fridge. I don't know, everything.
See, that's the thing. I think that if I was still living in my marital home,
that's right. Yeah,
I think I would be like you as well and have everything in its place.
Because you know what it is for you when you had to move, so you had to pack not just his stuff, your stuff too, move things, rearrange. Whereas with me, it would be literally going to places in the house and just removing them for that would be weird. No reason. I'm not going to say no reason, because obviously it is to donate and to, you know, whatever. Yeah. But for no reason. Yeah. Like I would just be going into his wardrobes, grabbing everything out. Okay, but like cleaning it out in a sense. Yeah. Moving is different when you stay here.
Yeah, and I feel like
it's different.
I try and put myself in that position where like if I was still in my marital home, I'm not just going to grab his clothes and like throw them or donate them. Like that.
That's all you have left.
I think I would feel that's exactly right. Yeah. I would feel like I'm trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Even though he's not physically here, right? Yeah.
But still,
I don't know.
His belongings.
Even like taking his things with me.
Yeah.
I don't think I can. There are certain things I can never get rid of. Babe, his toiletries bag. When we used to travel, his toiletries bag, still has his toothbrush in it, still has his deodorant, still has his shaver. Like it's still just sitting there. I don't know. And
these are things that obviously you can't donate someone's toothbrush.
No.
And it's like,
why would I throw that?
Why would you? Yeah, like I couldn't imagine just throwing that. Yeah. You know, like obviously there's a lot of things you can donate and that's fine, but there's also a lot of things you can't donate, you know.
So there was a gym set that he bought. Yeah. And it was like one of those massive ones. Yeah. Okay. It was a massive gym set. Yeah. And when I was moving, I remember my brother-in-law was like, what are you going to do with it? And I'm like, I'm going to use it. Yeah. Like, okay. And then he'd go and then he'd come back. Yeah. We were moving at this point. All the boys were there that were helping me move. Yeah. I don't know, like, but where are you going to put it? And I'm like, listen, I'm not getting rid of it. Yeah. He'd go. Yeah. He'd come back. Yeah, but like, are you actually going to use it? And I'm like, you need to stop. Yeah. I'm going to use it. Yeah. I am not throwing it away. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. I'm not getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still have it in my garage till this day. Yeah. I was using it today.
Well, you used it the other day.
I used it today.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I don't know. Like there are just things that you can make use of.
That's right. Definitely.
You know? Yeah. There are some things that hold a sentimental value that you might not use it, but you're not going to get rid of it. No. You want to hold on to these memories. And there are some things that, you know, potentially you can.
Yeah, when the time is right for you. That's right.
Like the things that I donated to charity were clothes that had tags on them.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, stuff like that is there's no
and he had a lot of them. Yeah. We went to the States every single year. Yeah. The shopping that we would do. Yeah. Do you know how I ended up with 10 luggages just for him
from these trips
from America. Every time we would go to America, we would go with one bag.
Get an extra
we would buy
that's right.
an extra bag each, whether it be for me, him,
to bring
and the kids,
your new stuff
and we
back.
bring it back.
That's right, exactly.
So this is how I ended up with a lot of suitcases, right?
That makes sense.
And so, you know, there are things that I did get rid of, but it was things that had tags on it and, you know, just had no value, you know. So I don't know. I think everybody's different and you just do what you're comfortable with doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a good idea to let anyone pressure you because you might do it too soon and you might really regret it.
Definitely.
And the thing is with stuff like that, when it's a physical item, you can't get it back.
No, you can't.
So if you feel like it's super important to you so with certain materialistic things, once you give them away, you can't get them back.
No, you can't.
So I think it's really, really important to just do it when you think the time is right and don't feel pressured to do anything that you don't want to do because these things are different. Like if you donate them or you whatever, you don't want to be sitting there for the next 20 years thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I just had one T-shirt or I wish I just had one, perfume or something like that, you know. So, yeah.
I think we should do a part 2 to this because we've got
some more stuff that we want to cover in terms of where we're at currently. So we'll do a part 2 probably for next week, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, if you have any questions, you want us to talk about anything in particular, please send through a DM. Get in touch with us. Married Now Widowed on all platforms, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.